Hello and welcome back to another video here on my channel. My name is Tinnitus Coach Frieder, and today I'm talking about 5 things that actually work for tinnitus relief from a coach, which is me, who's seen over 700 people with tinnitus in personal coachings, also in my Tinnitus Club. Welcome. So after working with hundreds of people with tinnitus, I've seen a lot of things that help and support people, and not like just theories and like studies or stuff like that, but like real world results. Quick note before we start. I'm not going to promise you silence. This is not the channel, so if you are after silence and looking for some herbal remedy cures or being sold very expensive hearing aids, then this is not the channel for you. The real tinnitus relief and habituation is not about silencing tinnitus, but about learning how to retrain your brain's reaction to your tinnitus. And this is what this channel is about. So let's start with number 1. The first one is being able to regulate yourself. And what do I mean by being able to regulate yourself? I've talked about this a number of times, but tinnitus really isn't just an ear problem, right? But it's more of a nervous system condition, right? Because it makes you anxious, makes you afraid, it gives you all of these emotions. But it means that when you are in chronic stress because of your tinnitus, your nervous system is in kind of like a little bit of a fight or flight state, and that also drives more reactivity towards the tinnitus. And if we do nervous system work, so being able to regulate yourself, so to, for example, doing relaxation exercises, but also learning that you can do certain things that you enjoy and practice those despite the presence of your tinnitus, so that you get this kind of exposure that your brain learns, okay, I can do this. I mean, it's hard, it's not easy, and I never said habituation is an easy path, but it is a path that's open for all of you, right? So let me give you a little bit of an example from the club. A member came in with like severe tinnitus and anxiety. She couldn't really like sleep. She couldn't really like focus at work and concentrate. So we started with a little exercise after lunch she did of yoga nidra, right? This is like a guided meditation. And although she still had the panic attacks and the anxiety at work, when she knew that she had this island in her day to regulate herself and to calm down a little bit, that made everything seem a little bit less doomy, you know, because she had the opportunity to zone out from that. And when we create more and more of these moments, then the tinnitus doesn't have to get quieter. I just have to learn that when I am able to regulate my nervous system, the tinnitus will be less perceptible, right? It might still be bothersome at times, but it is in a completely different league. This really is the foundation of everything else, being able to regulate your nervous system, understanding your vicious cycles, yeah? And understanding and building little things that create a signal to your brain to say, tinnitus is not a dangerous threat symbol. Tinnitus is not a dog that's going to bite you, right? It is just simply there. The second thing that I've seen consistently work very, very well, and I would put them like equally important, so being able to regulate yourself, is acceptance and commitment therapy. And acceptance and commitment therapy at the base is a psychological approach that's used for spider phobia, insomnia, depression, anxiety, but it's not what people think. Accepting tinnitus or acceptance and commitment therapy does not mean that you force yourself to accept tinnitus and say, oh, I'm okay with this now. It also doesn't mean to pretend that it doesn't bother you, right? People tend to forget this. And it also doesn't mean that you force yourself to think positively. So how does acceptance and commitment therapy work then? Well, first of all, it is about making space for difficult thoughts and feelings. It's about observing thoughts without being always consumed by them, because, you know, I've told the story a lot, like I might have just won 10 million in the lottery. I'm gonna go and buy myself a Porsche. Nice thought, but I haven't won 10 million in the lottery, and I'm going to continue making these videos. So being able to observe our thoughts without being controlled by them is a huge step. And then living by your values despite tinnitus, you know. So while most people fight tinnitus, trying to push it away, avoid it somehow, trying to make it stop somehow, which only leads to one thing, creating more stress. Because the reality is you have tinnitus, that activates your nervous system anymore, tinnitus feels even louder, right? Acceptance and commitment therapy, on the opposite, teaches you to let go of this fight. It teaches you not because you're giving up, but because acceptance is what allows habituation to build over time. And here's a real example from the community. A client told me, I can't relax with this ringing, right? Through acceptance and commitment therapy, we were able to change that to the thought that I can't relax is here and I will stay here anyways and see what happens, even with the ringing. Within a month, that particular client was able to meditate 20 to 25 minutes and experience very, very long periods of pure relaxation. So that is acceptance and commitment therapy in action, because not the thought itself was the problem, but the way the thought made that person feel and then thinking that they don't have the ability to relax. And that is an opposite example for the brain, and the brain says, oh, look, I can actually do this. All right, maybe it's also different than what I thought about these other ideas that I have about tinnitus. The third part, and I think I love this part so much because I am obviously the creator and founder, but community is the opposite of isolation, right? I'm saying this on and on and on, but this is what people really often very much underestimate. The neuroscience behind co-regulation and community is so strong. Being around other humans who are going through what you've been through. Think about AA, think about crisis intervention groups, think about your friends, your family, your social connections, right? When you're isolated with tinnitus, the brain thinks I'm alone with a threat and this must be dangerous and only I can experience, no one else does. When you're in a community, your brain learns other people have this too. This is okay. Maybe I can be okay too. When they can habituate, move on, live their lives and be happy, maybe I can do this too. And this is exactly the kind of knowledge and evidence your brain needs in order to build that habituation muscle. Yeah. And here's another example that I get frequently, right, from the club. She's a member who she joined 8 months ago, and she was sure that she'd be the 1% that cannot habituate kind of person, and suffering like really badly. So in the first couple of coaching sessions, it was like I cried from the sadness, from the despair, from not being able to sleep. This was insane for her. But when she joined the community and we did some coaching sessions, that isolation that she experienced at the start kind of like went away. She realized that other people had gone through exactly the same. The community spotlight is where we do interviews with people who are almost habituated and who share their difficulty at the start, and then what they experienced throughout the period, and then how they get habituated. Motivated her so much to work through the resources to come to the meetings that in the end, after 4 months, she felt almost habituated. And that is an amazing story to me. And I'm not doing this to pat my back, but I want this message to reach out into the world and say, this is real, guys. It's not about consuming videos in your lonely place. It's about really meeting with other people, finding out what works with you. And whether you do that with one-on-one coaching, if I have open slots sometimes, or especially in the community with other people that's bigger than myself, but with people and the support of a course and the people who've been through this and who know exactly how you feel. And the fourth one is sleep. Almost everyone with tinnitus struggles with sleep. And here's what doesn't work. Fighting wakefulness, so avoiding the fact that you're awake. Googling cures at 3 a.m. because that will just, make your nervous system more upset. Panicking when you can't sleep, and turning sleep into some kind of performance test. Here's what does work. And I have a video and a special section dedicated in the community for acceptance and commitment therapy for people with sleep difficulties and tinnitus. Stop treating sleep like something you do need to achieve. Treating it like something you allow. Because your body needs to learn again that it's safe for you to lie in bed, experience tinnitus, and to gently drift away, right? Because your body can't get to sleep when it thinks there's a dangerous intruder in your house. And tinnitus is just to habituate. So let's get on with the fifth and final point. The fifth and final point is one of my all-time favorites, and it's value-based living. Value-based living is one of the most underrated, most powerful tools. And value-based living is basically this. Many people believe that once my tinnitus gets better, I can start living my life again. I can start going to football games, I can start going to the movies, I can go on holiday again, all of these things. But here's the truth. Waiting for habituation and for your life to get better to habituate is actually blocking habituation. Your brain needs evidence that you're safe, and the best evidence is living your life. Yeah? So value-based living means asking yourself, what matters to me most? My family, my work, having adventure, connection with other people, creativity. Doing those things then, despite the presence of your tinnitus, start signaling your brain that you are safe. And whatever it is for you that you need to and want to do with your life, despite your tinnitus, that is what you need to be doing in order to get to habituation. Because habituation is not an end of a roadmap. It is the cumulative experiences that your brain says, I can experience tinnitus, but I don't have to be bothered 24/7 by it. Yeah? And this is not as easy. Yeah? It's a difficult thing to do, but working with your values and living by your values is one of the biggest things you can do to signal your brain, I can go on despite the presence of this. You only have one life, so use it in the here and the now, because you are able to and you're allowed to. So I hope these 5 points that I've seen in many people with tinnitus have given you a little bit of an understanding of what's important for many people when they assemble the right strategies to get to non-bothersome tinnitus. If you did like it, then check out habituate.online for my tinnitus quiz to see where you are in your habituation journey, what you could do next, or my free 4-day course. If you are interested in mytinnitus.club, the 12 weeks program, then head over to mytinnitus.club. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing as usual. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, what other things have helped and supported you, and I look forward to seeing you in next week's video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.